Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Martinsville basketball coach Gary Hall. The Hearnden legend is taking his game to Martinsville. So we got two legendary program and legendary coach getting together. It's going to be an exciting season. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Julian. It's so good to see you again.
Oh yeah, man. So well, look, yeah, appreciate that. So let me go through your record again. There were some folks who are like, "Who's this Gary Hall?" And I'm like, "You guys are getting
Right.
much more coach than you deserve, even though."
There's no. There's a lot of folks that say that same thing. Who is Gary Hall? So deservedly so.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the barbershop scene in Hoosiers.
Right.
Everyone's what kind of defense do you run? But Coach Hall's got more than 500 wins, 539 by last count. He's been a head coach 30 years, many of which are up here at Hearnden High School. I'm in Lansdowne, so that's right down the street. But also, Coach has been in he's been in Charlotte. He's been in Texas. He did a private school gig in Virginia as well. He's been district champ 14 times, coach of the year 12 times. He's been selected to coach the McDonald's All-Star game, and he's had two players playing that game. So, Coach, I get most of that right?
Absolutely. And you you know, it's one of the things people ask me that, and I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know career win loss record. People ask me that when I accepted the job or when I had to like do my resume, and I have to go back and look it up and look at my resume. So it's certainly not something that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But I made the interesting thing, right? I tell people all the time I never ever thought that I would leave Herndon. Herndon was my home, and what a blessing for me to get an opportunity to coach in my school for my first head coaching experience.
Yeah.
And so never thought I would leave Herndon. And then my daughters went to school at Baylor, and then they made their homes in Texas, and I started following grandbabies around the country, right? And I was telling a friend of mine, Morgan and Ashley, they're probably trying to get rid of me, and I'm just too naive or too dumb or don't want to admit the fact that they're trying to get rid of me, and I just keep showing up everywhere they go. But I've been blessed. It's been quite a journey, and really it's been a blessing because I've got to experience so many other things, and now I have great friends in so many places. It's been nice.
Yeah, it's incredible. Do you know a lot about Martinsville? But before you took the job, my father's from Bedford. I'm nearby. And I'm, as you know, a fan of the high school basketball. So I've been watching Martinsville teams for many years and played against
Right.
guys who went to school there. Did you know much about Martinsville before your daughters moved
Well,
there or before you took the job?
sure. And just being a basketball fan, right? Being a basketball junkie and growing up and coaching in the state of Virginia, how can you not know about Martinsville? And and believe it or not, your podcast is one of the reasons that I'm at Martinsville because I saw
Hmm.
your podcast with the former Martinsville player.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's I don't know I don't know the exact timing or when you did the podcast, but I came across the podcast when I was trying to make a decision about applying for the job at Martinsville. And I was like, this is a sign. Like I'm supposed to be in Martinsville because Julian did a podcast on Martinsville basketball. Like, how random is that? So I watched Martinsville High School play. I watched it was always these legendary battles between Martinsville High School and Robert E. Lee Stanton. And
Yeah.
Robert E. Lee had a great player named Kevin Madden.
Yeah.
Kevin Madden went on to play at University of North Carolina, but also at that time in Northern Virginia, Parkview Sterling was a powerhouse with Billy King.
That's right.
So it was Billy King and Parkview versus Robert E. Lee and Kevin Madden to see who would have the opportunity, to compete against Martinsville for state championships. And of course, also Ralph Sampson in Harrisonburg. So,
Yeah.
I always knew Martinsville. And then of course, their legendary coach, or one of their legendary coaches, was a gentleman named Husky Hall. And so of course, since we shared the last name, I always took great pride in the fact that he was coaching Martinsville to such success.
Yeah, well, that interview was with Michael Barros.
Yes.
And I met him in Facebook group, and I could just tell by the way he was posting that he knew what he was talking about. And it's one of my favorite interviews. The guy knows so much about basketball, and he knows so much about the history.
Yes.
Martinsville is a very historic city in
Yes.
terms of the civil rights movement. But you mentioned the coaches, Mel Cartwright, who ended up,
Yes.
I guess he followed or went with Jeff Atkins to Maryland.
Yeah,
He was
I'm pretty sure that might have been, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that was, probably a package deal.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, growing up in the DC area, I was a huge Lefty Driesell fan and a huge Maryland fan, and went to basketball camps at the University of Maryland, and so probably saw every single game of Jeff Atkins' career at Maryland, um, and had the opportunity to meet Mel Cartwright at games at the University of Maryland. And so, and now, I'm coaching at his school. And it's just, even just waiting for the podcast to start. And I saw, your headline that says Gary Hall, Martinsville High School. And honestly, if I had any hair, Julian, the hair on the back of my neck was standing up to think that I'm actually the basketball coach at Martinsville High School, the most storied basketball program in the state of Virginia.
Yeah, I think it's 15 or 16 state championships is the most
15.
of any 15.
That's right.
I also Husky Hall, the who was one of the biggest winners in the history of Virginia basketball, but
Yes,
also Troy Wells won a few states, I think 3 state championships.
that's correct.
Troy had been Husky's assistant, and then Jeff Atkins won two as a
Right.
coach, one as a player. What is Martinsville like? I don't know if I've ever been to Martinsville. Is it a small town, or what does it feel like when you're there?
Absolutely. And so, well, you'll have to come to Martinsville,
Yeah.
and I will tell you and your viewers, they have an outstanding coffee shop in Martinsville called the Ground Floor. I may be a little biased since my daughter and son-in-law own that coffee shop, but
Why'd they open it? Why they open it in Martinsville of all places?
so there was some family relationships there, and there was an opportunity there. There was a historic property in Martinsville that they were, going to renovate, and so my son-in-law, his dream was to open a coffee shop. And so he had the opportunity to move from, Houston, Texas to Martinsville and take over this space in this historic building. And I'm so proud of both of them because it has helped revitalize uptown Martinsville. And it started out as a coffee shop. And I will say, like, when they first moved there, I had my doubts. It's like, who's going to spend $7 for a cup of coffee in Martinsville, and so, but, they've added a food menu. They've added, they have an ABC license. They host, there's music, there's trivia nights. And so someone that you might want to have on your podcast one day is a gentleman named Robert Anderson. And so Robert played at Martinsville High School, and and then he went on to write for the Roanoke paper. Is it the Roanoke Times? I think I can't remember. I think so. And then Robert also, he writes for for Virginia Preps. But
But that's where I know
Robert,
him. That's where I know
that's
him.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So Robert is in the Virginia High School League Hall of Fame as a writer, but I had lunch with him yesterday. He and I have developed a relationship, and he lives in Roanoke. So he drove down from Roanoke, and I drove up. I'm still living in Greensboro right now. Drove up to Roanoke, and we met at my daughter's coffee shop, and and we had lunch. And and it was just the line was out the door, and all the tables are filled, and people are talking, and he just sat there and he was mesmerized. He's just like, I cannot believe this is my hometown. Like, who would have thought? And so Martinsville to me, for me, reminds me of the Herndon that I grew up in.
Mhm.
And there are just so many similarities. And, one high school town, I love that. There's such great pride, in their high school. It's, everyone wants to grow up and be a Bulldog and put on that jersey. So I absolutely love it. And so both of my daughters and all six grandkids are in Martinsville. And so I will be moving. So I was moving to Martinsville regardless of basketball.
Right.
So I had made the decision to move to Martinsville, and then the basketball job came open. And so that's when I made the decision to apply for the job.
Well, you thought about applying for the job before, and you didn't
That's
because
right.
you didn't want to teach because of retirement issues. We don't have to get into all that.
That's
Are you
right.
going to teach? Are you going to teach this summer?
No, I am not. And you're absolutely right. And so that's part of the other thing. It's like, maybe, so 3 years ago when Jeff Atkins, decided not to coach, I was living in Charlotte, and I had conversations with the athletic director about the job at Martinsville. But you're right. At that time, I just, I still wanted to teach. And so then the job came open again, and it's like, wait a minute, this is just like, this must be the man upstairs is, he tends to put you where he feels like you can best be utilized or where he can utilize you, right? And so there were just too many signs, and so I'm moving to Martinsville. The job comes open again, and what a blessing for me to be the head coach at Martinsville.
Yeah. So are you gonna get a house and with the intention of staying for a while? Are you gonna get an
Yes,
apartment?
yes.
Are you gonna be like Gene Hackman and just in your room? Or what's gonna be a living arrangement?
So I'm moving to Martinsville. I plan on, I don't anticipate like my family will be in Martinsville for a while. So I anticipate, that, and I may have told you this before, Herndon is red and white and Martinsville is red and white. So this is absolutely my coaching gig. So it's full circle to start my career in red and white and end it in red and white. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Coach, why do you think you're still coaching now? So, a guy you work for, a guy me and you respect a lot, Wendell Bird, he stopped coaching probably 22 years ago or so, 20 years ago or so. And so many of the coaches that you coached against, and in your first 10 years, I mean, you were a veteran. Almost all those guys are gone. I mean, Jim Smith's still around, Mitris is still around. Um, I don't know if there's any others that still around, Coach, but
Yeah.
you're still doing it. Why do? And I know the answer, but I want to hear it out of your mouth. What?
Well, if you know the answer, you might want to tell me because I'm like, they're probably just a lot smarter than I am. But here's what I will tell you. Here's what I will tell you. So, talked to Scotty just a couple days ago. And he sent me a note to congratulate me, on the job at Martinsville. And I said, Scotty, what is wrong with me? Like, I was retired last year. So last year's the first year, that I didn't coach. And I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I've had time to do things other than, in the gym. I rescued a dog. We go hiking every day for 2 hours. I'm like, my life is completely stress free. And I'm like, what am I doing? He's like, Coach, there's nothing wrong with you. He said, you have a gift. And he said, you remember, Coach, you used to say that our abilities and talents are a gift from God. What we do with those talents is our gift back to Him. And you're just giving back. And I was like, shut up. I don't need to hear any coach speak, but at least it's good to know that he listened to me every once in a while.
I wonder
So, I
where.
mean, and that's it. I feel like I have a lot to offer, and you know what? I think I can still make a difference.
Coach, I asked you that in jest.
Yeah,
It's just interesting because I'm only a few years younger than you, and I'm still working, and The other day I went to a soccer game of a guy that I got to know his son real well through the social media stuff that I do. His name is Tim Margita. His son's a great player, Joe Margita. So we're talking after they had an adult game out here. I moved out to Lansdowne,
Hmm.
and he asked me, Joel, why do you do all this stuff? Same for you. People ask you, why the hell you want to do that? And it's a hard question for me to answer because I just love it. And
Right,
I don't have an answer for it. I'm not
right,
getting rich doing it.
right.
There's other things I can do. I
But
still,
but you are, and you don't do, but you're enriching other people.
and I think I like to think so. Thanks, Coach.
Right.
But I think it's like you really haven't figured all these things out in your mind. All you
Right.
know is you want to do it and you're excited to do it again, right?
I'll tell you, I'll tell you a story. So, and you and I have talked before, and my dad was a blue collar construction worker. And growing up, Julian, I probably had 15 jobs. And I would work. If I was going to go to the beach, I would get a job at the gas station in Hearnden, and I would get paid. I'd make enough money to go to the beach, and then I'd quit. I quit every job I ever had in my life. And my dad, being the rough tumble, I mean, he's just like, all he knew was work. And he thought I was the laziest person ever. And we had many, many, many arguments about that. And so, and so then my father was on his deathbed. And I'll never forget, he pulled me close to him and he said, "Son, I can't tell you how proud I am of you."
Yeah.
He said, "I never in my life thought you would hold a job. And the fact that you've been coaching for 35 years is unbelievable." And we say things as coaches, right? And you've heard this, and I've probably said it. Well, if you quit this, you'll be a quitter for the rest of your life. And you know what? No, you won't, Julian.
Mm,
No, you won't. And you know what? I wasn't lazy. I just hadn't found my passion.
yeah.
I hadn't found my calling. And coaching is my passion. And I can sit on a tile elementary gym floor and watch third graders play basketball all day long,
Yeah.
no money, right? And it's just, and I absolutely love it. So it's interesting when you ask me, but that's why it's my passion.
I could go down the street and watch Briarwoods play Stonebridge in football. I don't even know football that well anymore. Don't know. I could just sit there and watch the whole game
Right,
and I'm in heaven. I
right,
don't know why I like high school sports so much.
right.
But anyway, this is about you, not about me. So, Coach, you were a very intense coach
Yeah,
back in your day. Um, and that was the expectation. You
right,
weren't you weren't any different than any other coach up here. That's just the way it
right,
was.
right.
Do you interact differently with kids now? Are kids different than us? We expected that from our coaches, and
Right.
again, I was a generation older than the kids you coached, but still, you coached them hard back then.
I did.
Is it the same today? Do you still coach them up hard?
Yes. And well, so when I was coaching in Waco, Scotty's parents lived in Round Rock,
Huh.
which is about an hour from Waco. So they came to we were playing a game in Round Rock and they came to the game. And after the game, I go over and we're talking. I mean, and Pam was like, "Coach, Rick and I were talking on the way over when we were wondering if you were still coaching the same way you've always coached." And I'm just going to tell you, it makes my heart proud to see that you haven't changed one bit. And so it's the only way I know. And I think, I may have told you this story. One year I tried to sit, and I mean, even like my daughters were like, "Dad, why do you dress up? Because you throw your jacket in the stands like the first minute of the game." And and I tried to sit. I'm like, because I really can see the game better when I sit. And at halftime, my kids were like, Coach, we don't like you like that. Like we feed off your intensity and your energy. So, I don't think kids are different. I think maybe, back, when I was playing, I've heard people say, oh, the kids today, they won't run through the wall for you. Well, I believe they will, but they won't run through the wall because of fear and intimidation. They will run through the wall because you love them and you care about them and they don't want to disappoint you. So I haven't encountered any. I'm still the same, and and that's always been really really important to me. And it's a cliche, but it's so true that the kids just the kids at Martinsville, they don't care how many wins I have. I mean, maybe initially it gives me the credibility, allows me to have in them to have some confidence in me and some comfort, but they really need to know how much I care about them more than how much I know. And so, yeah. So to answer your question, I can't change. I can only be me.
Yeah. Well, tell those kids if they're listening, you better start getting in shape now, guys. Are you a better coach for your stops in Texas and North Carolina? Did you learn some things about the game, and do you think you think you're a better coach than when you left Hearnden?
Absolutely. Well, and certainly I would hope so. Uh, and maybe that's why, I moved because, at Herndon, everything was almost on autopilot. We had it rolling pretty well, and I was blessed with, really, really good players and a coaching staff. And, my first experience in Texas, took over a team that had one win. All the players were coming back. And what it taught me, and I think this is what I try to convey to younger coaches, is the one thing that I've learned: relationships are much more important than what offense you run and what defense you run. And so when I went to Nacogdoches, again, same players, everything the same. The person before me was a really good X and O coach, but I'm not sure that they valued relationships enough. And how do you build relationships? You do that through time, right? Just like we do with our own, with our own kids and loved ones. That's how we say we love you and we spend time with you. And I will say, and I'll give you an example. So I've met my kids for the first time this week, and we opened the gym. I opened the gym, and again, I'm living in Greensboro for about the next 2 weeks, and so it's about a 40-mile trip. So I go up, I open the gym. I had no plans of going to Martinsville the following day. I get to my car, and a young man has texted me and says, Coach, thanks for the workout today. Do you think you could open the gym for me tomorrow? Well, Julian, there's no way I'm going to say no, right? And because maybe if I say no, maybe he's testing me. And if I say no, then I've lost all that credibility that those 500 wins goes right out the door. Right. And so what I've learned is, again, the importance of relationships.
Yeah.
90% of the games, 95% of the games that my teams have won and lost, I think are due to relationships. The kid made that free throw because I believed in him, and like in my message to my team yesterday or Tuesday, when I first met them, and I didn't talk to them long because I didn't want to bore them, but I wanted them to understand I chose you. I chose Martinsville. Like, I'm retired. I didn't settle for Martinsville. And it would take a very, very special place to disrupt my peace. And Martinsville is that place. And I wanted my kids to know, I'm not saying, oh man, I didn't get that job, so I had to coach at Martinsville. Like, I chose them. Like, I want to be their coach. And that is the most important message that's more important than any workout or any drill we did that day.
Yeah. I do think the relationships with your players, to me, has always been your strength as a coach. I mean, I'm not there in practice every day, coach, but
Yeah.
I always felt you did a great job of keeping. Herndon's had so many Division I players. People
Yeah.
forget about how many Division I players Herndon's had.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think in some ways you've been in the shadow of South Lakes.
No question.
But I think after South Lakes, Potomac, and TC Williams, you may even be up there with TC. Herndon's
Right.
had as many D1 athletes as basketball players as any other school in the area, and you kept them there. It had been easy for those kids to move to South Lakes, to go to
Right.
Flint Hill or Paulus or whatever.
Sure.
But kids played for you because they wanted to,
Right.
and in this day and age, that is the most important thing, is
Absolutely.
be able to get the kids in your building to want to play
Right.
basketball for you.
Right.
And you can't underestimate that.
Right.
One thing I want to say, Coach, I want to ask you, Coach, is you've traveled around a little bit. All these uh, all these issues that we see in basketball, all these factors that are affecting the current game, the movement towards private school, the way we play all 3 pointers, the lack of real physicalness in the game, all the trends that we see, the expectations of the parents, the reclassing, all these things that we see in basketball. Do you see them everywhere you go, or are some areas different? I mean, do the things that we witness in Northern Virginia as what you've seen in Texas and what you've seen in Carolina, or is it just depends on where you are?
Well, and I do think it's dependent upon the geography, where you're located, because, and I still, I watch as many Herndon games as I can. That's the beauty of NFHS, right? And and the specter of and the attraction of the public school has always, or the private school has always been there. But now what you have is, it's not just your best player that may go
Right.
to,
That's exactly right.
and so
It's your six man sometimes, Chris.
right, because there are so many private schools, right? Like, okay, it's not Paul the Sixth, okay, and then and no disrespect to anyone. So if I say a name, I don't mean that.
No,
But then,
absolutely.
okay, well then there's Flint Hill. Well then there's Virginia Academy, and then there's another.
Fairfax Christian.
Fairfax, right? And so it's sort of like, I was just having this conversation yesterday with someone about AAU basketball. Well, first, you had to be really good to play AAU basketball, really good. And now everyone plays AAU, and I've cut kids from the team and their parents have said, but he plays AAU. Well, everyone, right? And it's sort of the same. Like, there are so many private schools out there that now your sixth man can go to a private school. Your eighth man can go to a private school. So, I mean, I understand that. I always took great pride in our ability to keep our kids home, because I feel like if you provide a product that's worthwhile and they see that their kids are happy, that they're developing. Plus, let's face it, we had a built-in advantage, playing in our gym. I mean, where else can you go and play, a sellout on a Tuesday night? And so we had a lot of advantages, but also, and I don't know this for sure, but I may have been the first coach, or we as a basketball program in Hearnden, we were the first, like, we played the private schools, and that's, I mean, why are they going to the private school? For exposure. It's like, it's again, like Scotty. I sat down with Scotty and his family after his 10th grade year and said, Scotty, you need to go. I mean, everyone wanted him, Montrose, Oak Hill, everyone. I'm like, I can't help you any longer. And, unfortunately, he and his family were so loyal. And he said, Coach, I've told you, if you go, I go. But if you're at Hearnden, I'm at Hearnden. And that was maybe the first year, one of the first years that we could choose our own non-district schedule. And I knew that Scotty had a chance to be a McDonald's All-American. But one of the things that may go against him would be, people would say, what? Oh, yeah, he scored this, but. So his senior year, we played 6 of the top 10 teams in the country. And we beat one, but we played uh, Montrose Christian with Kevin Durant and Grievous Vasquez. We played Oak Hill with Ty Lawson, Michael Beasley, Nolan Smith. And you know what? I mean, what a great opportunity for those kids. So they could get some of the private school experience, right? By staying at their home school and competing for their home school. And a lot of times there's so much more pride. It means so much more at a Hearnden South Lakes game. If you go to some games, IMG versus Montverde, let's say, it's almost like the NBA All-Star game. People are there to watch, but they really aren't living and dying with every basket, And so, so yeah, I think it's like in Martinsville, there aren't a lot of private schools around us. I mean, you would really have to take a trip, to come down to Greensboro. And certainly people do that. The best player at Martinsville is at IMG. I mean, he's a great, and I'd like to think, man, maybe if I was there 3 years ago, he would be at Martinsville right now, But I don't blame him. He made the right decision for his basketball future. And I understand that, because here's the other thing. If your son or daughter is a great dancer, we don't get upset if you decide to send her to Juilliard. We congratulate you. So parents are just doing what's best for their kids, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, what about the style of play? Have you, and this might be dependent upon the shot clock, I guess, but and which, as you know, we don't have it yet,
Right.
hopefully soon. But do you still see the same type of basketball wherever you go?
Yeah, I do. And I will say this, when I went to Texas, and there's so much talk about Texas football, right? Rightfully so. But wow, I mean, basketball wise, can really, really play. They are really, really good basketball players. And the advantage that Texas has, and I'm not sure, there may be other places, but is Texas has an athletic period.
Oh, right, yeah.
So your athletes do not take PE. So like, for example, when I went to Nacogdoches High School, my teaching schedule was first block, middle school basketball. And those kids came to me every single day for basketball class. Second block, I had freshman basketball. Third block, varsity basketball. So, and what happens if you're playing football then you go to your football class. So we never had to practice after school. We practiced during the school day.
Wow.
And so, and it would be interesting for me to hear my friends in Texas complain because their athletic period it was the first block of the day, and they really wanted it to be at the end of the day. And, like, the grass is always greener. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I had open gym at 7 o'clock at night. Like no one in Texas practices at night, right? And so it's just, but I mean, from sixth grade on, you get those kids every single day. So you can imagine in football, you're in the weight room every day with them, and spring football practices, and so it's you see different styles of play, but I think when I was coaching in Houston. And I've never been someone that's been a big number of players. You're the one man, the two man, the three man. And I just never bought into that. And so I think I was doing positionless basketball at Hearnden before that became a term. And so just like style of play, someone at Martinsville said, "Well, coach, I don't think you have any centers." I said, "Well, that's good. I'm not sure how many centers I ever had at Hearnden. And a lot of times when you have a center, they don't do anything but get in the way." And so going back to Scotty in that year, 2006, when we played, 6 of the top 10 teams, people would say, okay, coach, you're playing Oak Hill tonight. Are you gonna try to control tempo and slow it down? And I'm like, no, we're gonna try to play even faster, because if we have to go 5 versus 5, we'll never get a shot off. I mean, our only hope is to beat them down the court and shoot before they set up.
But why schedule a team like that if you're just going to slow it down? It's kind of
Right.
beside the point. If
Exactly.
you're going to schedule Oak Hill, you're going to play.
That's right. And you know what, Julian? And people came to see that, right?
Right.
And so, like, when we played them, they allowed dunking in warmups. And I told my kids, I said, okay, I always told my kids, don't ever look down at the other team. Well, Julian, Michael Beasley's thrown it off the backboard 360. My whole team and me, we were staring at Michael Beasley like we're clapping for him. But I mean, that's what you want. Scotty, we played the Matha 3 times, I think, and Scotty averaged like 48 points a game. Yeah. I mean, that's what people want to see. And so yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what they paid for.
Yeah. Coach, Martinsville had, one of the worst years in the basketball program in recent memory, maybe ever. I'm not sure, but was the area traumatized by that? I mean, what's the mood? Is everyone really concerned that the team didn't do well?
Well, here's what I will tell you. My athletic director said this, and he's absolutely great, and I share this philosophy. He's like, Coach, in our gym, we only hang state championship banners. You will never see a district championship banner, a runner-up banner. So I think that probably answers your question. If they weren't traumatized, I would still be walking in the woods with my dog next year. Right?
Do you have a sense of what were some of the challenges that were going on with the team?
I think sometimes, like I know for me, when I was coaching in Northern Virginia, I was the right fit for Hearnden. I think if you had taken me maybe and put me, and I'm just using an example, in another community, I may not have been the right fit. Like Hearnden and I were just a great match. And I think sometimes that's what happens, And so I don't really know. And by my own choosing, I've chosen to, everything's a clean slate. What happened last year is not important, like the way that I deal with certain situations. And so I think more than anything that was, here's what I would say about Martinsville. And I love this about Martinsville. And that's why for me, I embrace, because it was similar at Hearnden, I embrace being a part of the fabric of the community. Like, I like going to the grocery store and talking to people. And in Martinsville, I will never be able to say I was born and raised and I'm from Martinsville, but I'm doing everything I can to show the community of Martinsville how much I care and how much I love our community and how much I want to be a part of it. And I think that's really, really important.
Have they showed you the secret handshake yet? Or
I have not seen the secret handshake. So you know what? Here's what I haven't seen. Believe it or not, I haven't seen the gym.
You've seen, okay, the dog pound, right?
The dog pound, and so Martinsville has always played their games at the middle school. Wow. The gym is not located at the high school. Well, Martinsville does not have a competition gym on campus.
Wow. Because they have it's a brand new school, Martinsville, right?
No. What did they, 1968.
I thought they built a brand new building.
No. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe from originally, but the current building was built in 1968.
I think they have plans to build a new, I think
there has been a bond. They have passed a bond to build a new gymnasium. The first
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, I saw the plans.
That's right. And that's
Yeah,
right, right,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
And, but yeah, but I have not been in the dog pound yet. And I just can't wait to get there. They're doing some, summer, renovations, construction. And I can't wait to get in there.
Yeah, yeah. Coach, are you gonna watch film of last year's games?
And I've watched 5 or 6 film and, again, and here's what I will say. I don't know everything that happened. Martinsville averaged 42 points a game last year.
Wow.
And
I interviewed Billy Fields today. He averaged 40. He averaged 40.7 a game himself.
and I saw that I saw that you interviewed Billy Fields, and did you know that Billy Fields? So at one time in my life, I mean, I would probably play 200 to 250 softball games a summer. Big time adult, like intense.
Yeah.
Billy Fields is the best home run hitting softball player I've ever seen in my life. Hmm. I'm talking like 500-foot homers. He was unbelievable as an adult softball league player. But anyways, yeah.
I hear he's a great golfer also.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure he can win any long drive contest. So yeah, but no, I remember him in playing in college or high school. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So
anyway, so right now you're only beating Billy by 2 points.
right. And that's my thing. Like, again, getting back to the, who comes to watch a game against Oak Hill if you're going to slow it down. And I just think the most fun any of us have playing any sport is on the playground. No officials, no parents, no coaches, shirts and skins, and we're just playing completely free. And that's so what I told my kids the other day is, I'm really big on relationships, development, and joy. I mean, there has to be fun, right? And again, I can't speak, but it looks like there wasn't a lot of fun.
Yeah. Coach, do they do like summer leagues of like, Laurel Park and Franklin County and maybe Danville? So are there leagues? I know there's AAU, but
right.
Are there leagues where you can put a Martinsville team in the fall or even summer?
So there will be some things in the fall, and most of it, I would say, probably it's in the Roanoke area.
Roanoke area. How far away is that?
50 minutes, maybe.
Okay, it's not that bad.
No,
it looks further on a map.
Yeah.
So, I guess. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in Greensboro, and Martinsville is right in the middle of Greensboro to Roanoke. Yeah. So I'm about 45 minutes, to Martinsville, and then Martinsville is about another 45 minutes to Roanoke.
Yeah, I get confused. So it's Danville south of Lynchburg and Martinsville south of Roanoke. Is that right? And Franklin County, it's kind of in between them.
That's right. That's right. And Danville is about 30 minutes directly east of Martinsville.
Oh, that's all it is? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great athletes both those. I did interview another Martinsville football player named Nicky Fisher years ago. Great guy. Also, he was there at UVA when I was there. So Coach, what do you think about Austin Hamilton becoming head coach at Hearnden?
Yeah.
I know you know Austin really well. He played for you. What do you think about him as a choice to turn that program back around?
Yeah, he was the absolute, right choice and the only choice, because, again, Hearnden is different and it's special and Austin understands the history and he will embrace the history. He will, he wants the history involved in the program, I've had several conversations with Austin. So that's like I said, that's really, really special. And that's what makes Hearnden so special. And he cares, it's sometimes in like at Hearnden, it wasn't just a basketball game, like when we played South Lakes, it wasn't just a basketball game for me because I grew up in Hearnden. Yeah. And, and when Reston was developed, I was a little kid and Herndon was on the wrong side of the tracks. And so when I went into those games against South Lakes, it meant more because to me, it was a flashback. Like I wanted to show them that Herndon was just as good, if not better, right? Like, they wouldn't let us play on their little league fields and they had, manicured infields and fences, and they all wore the uniforms that looked like the major leagues, and we had T-shirts. So Austin is going to do all the things necessary to bring Herndon back to prominence.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he will. They just won a state championship in soccer.
Yes, I saw that.
It was amazing. Just a
Yes.
great team. Actually, I'm going to a party tonight with the guys to celebrate. It's a
Nice.
great bunch of kids. So, Coach, this has been great. I can't wait to check in on you once the season starts, and I'm sure you'll get butterflies for the first game.
Absolutely.
I have to say, I was asking why you were doing this, but I think deep down inside, nowadays it's going to be so hard for people to retire.
Yeah.
I think the economy is tough and it's going to get tougher.
Right.
I think people are going to be afraid to retire. I think the fact that you can do exactly what you love while you retire, you're the luckiest guy in the world.
Well,
I asked you that.
you sound like Red Jenkins. Like Red, I talk to Red all the time, and he said, "Coach, one of my biggest regrets is I retired too early." He's
I mean,
like,
if you can retire and still do
right.
what you love,
Oh,
especially, I mean, it is a grind to teach,
Sure.
6 classes a day and coach and all that stuff.
Right.
But if you can just coach and be retired,
Right.
I don't know if you can get people that love basketball like me and you. I'm not
Right.
sure if you can get much better gig than that.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I agree with you. So, but listen, before we go, I told you, I promise you, I'll tell you the Adam.
Oh,
Adam.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I almost called in. Like, I wish I could have called into the show. So
next time we'll let you.
I don't remember what you were talking about. You were talking about game management or something. It was with Adam and
Scott Bach.
Yes. And Adam told a story about how he just sort of lost focus of the game for a second, and he blew his whistle once. We were in a timeout. He blew his whistle.
Yeah.
Do you remember that story?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and he was correct, but here's how it truly went down. We were playing Robinson. So you're familiar with Robinson back when Charlie Thompson was the coach and there's Addis Bennett.
Yeah.
Remember that team?
Great team.
So we're playing at Hearnden, packed house. Both teams are really, really good. And it was like less than 10 seconds to go in the game. And there was a timeout. We're up 1. I'm in the huddle. All of a sudden, I hear all this commotion. I turn around. Addis Bennett is streaking down the floor and dunks it, and we lose the game. And Adam came on and he said, "Coach, I'm sorry." He put the ball on the ground after the first whistle.
Yeah. He didn't try to blame that on his partner?
No, he didn't. You know what? That's the thing about Adam. So Adam and I had two situations. I don't know if you remember this. We played Tallwood in the state semifinals. They were number 1 ranked team in the state. We were ranked number 2 in the state. And it was a double overtime game. And into the first overtime, tie game, Tallwood had the ball. They held it. They had great guards. They held it for like a minute. Took the shot at the buzzer, rimmed in and out. We go to overtime. Same situation. They held it for a minute, took the last shot, missed. Go into double overtime. Same situation, but they called timeout. I told my kids, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I'm an emotional wreck. We're not going into a third overtime. We're gonna either lose it here or win it here. But when they throw it in, trap, go for a steal, don't get the steal, they get a layup. So what? Game's over. Well, we got a deflection and a steal, Julia, and we went down and made a layup with like 3 seconds left. Their kid gets the ball out of bounds, steps on the court. Technical foul, right? Well, the officials get together, the game's over, right? Officials get together, and the official decided not to call a technical foul because he didn't want the kid's career to end like that. Mm. And Adam's like trying to explain to me, and I'm beside myself. I'm like, but Adam, what if they make a buzzer? What if they score? Now my kids have to end their career like this. And he's like, Coach, I know, but the other official said he can't bring himself to call a technical foul. And so, and fortunately, they threw it in, took a shot, it hit the rim, and Adam was so happy, right? Like,
yeah.
But Adam would, that's the great thing about Adam and all good officials. Like he would always be accountable, right? And he would always, and that's why all the coaches love him and respect him so much, and that's what makes him the best.
I was down at, I guess, Liberty watching the state one year, and Gil Mack was refereeing. Yep. Good, great official.
Yes.
And the last 2 minutes were a mess. I think it was one of the George Wythe teams with Tyrese.
Yes.
Rice, whatever his name was. And the game was just a complete mess. And Gil had so many calls that could have gone either way. And I remember thinking, I'm just glad I don't referee anymore
right.
because it was such a mess. Nobody could win. I mean, whatever you call, right. it was the wrong call. And
that's right.
I felt that way a lot about officiating. You know?
Sure. And that makes it hard though when you get to the state tournament and I don't know if they still do, but they mix and match the officials.
Yeah.
And Adam, it was a clear technical foul, and the guy called the technical foul. But then once he realized how much time was left, he was like, "Yeah, I can't really do that to the kid." Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, what about my kids? What about me?" But it all worked out in the end. So, but Adam's the best. And I saw him, and I think he mentioned that. Like 2 days later, I went to scout a game, and Adam was doing that game, and he came right over and apologized. Like, Coach, I am so sorry. I absolutely blew that. But he's the best. I've been so blessed in my coaching career. And I was thinking about that, from having, a water boy named Grant Hill to having the opportunity to coach Scotty Reynolds, to now be at Martinsville High School. But I was so lucky to grow up and cut my teeth in coaching in Northern Virginia in what I consider to be the glory days. I mean, just going to the coaches meetings. Yeah. With a Charlie Thompson and a Red Jenkins and a Don, all the personalities, unbelievable battles, right? And it was so intense.
We were very lucky, and there's things that we can do now to improve the culture. We can go back to 3 classifications of 4, bring the rivalries back, bring the doubleheaders back, bring the state tournament back. There are things that we can do to elevate the culture. So they do everything they can to scare away all the neutral fans now, and all that's left are the supporters and the friends and parents of the players. Right. But we were lucky. We came along in a time when they organized the games right, so they could mean something.
That's right.
And they've done everything they could to run the fans away. But anyway, Coach, let's end on a positive note. I just want to thanks for doing this. I want to wish you the best of luck, and let's touch base on the wintertime and let me know how you can tell us how it's going.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, and go Bulldogs.
Yeah, go Bulldogs. I think they bark, don't they? Go Bulldogs, and Coach, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Julian.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoyed it. All right, man.